Hey folks, this is BestInSlot. Welcome back to today's coverage of the brand new Park Managers Collection Pack for Jurassic World Evolution 2. We've seen the gigantic Megalodon, we've seen the tiny Microceratops, and we're going to stay small for this third video. We're going to check out our new diminutive theropod, our new coelophysid Segisaurus, of course hailing from the Jurassic Park brochure, so technically another new canonical dinosaur getting added to the game. Let's check it out.
Decades of scientific innovation have made this very moment possible. Paleocuration is rarely straightforward, but is always immensely rewarding, so it gives me great pleasure to welcome the Segisaurus.
Segisaurus, wow, very different pronunciation than I'm sticking with my Segi. I'm going to bring up its stats as we take a look at it, so they should be on the left hand side. Nothing in particular that I want to talk about with the Segisaurus. I'm sticking with Segi. So, Segisaurus, of course, as I say, oh, this is a nice coloration actually. Appearing on that Jurassic Park brochure, was meant to have an exhibit in the original Jurassic Park, but never quite made it in and has lived in canonical obscurity ever since then. And I think you can tell, as we kind of talked about in the preview, that Frontier have gone for a fairly Jurassic Park style design. You know, this is very much a fairly basic looking theropod. This feels like the kind of dinosaur that Jurassic World Evolution would have launched with, or that, you know, would have come with at the very start of Evolution 2. It doesn't feel necessarily that similar to some of their more recent... Oh, I'll tell you what, let's look at this social animation first while I prattle on. Nice little jump there. Not too dissimilar to ones we've seen before. The sneaking up and trying to have a little snip at the tail there. I can't quite remember what dinosaur it is, but it's quite similar to one we've seen before, but very appropriate for Segisaurus. This nimble, cheeky little dinosaur almost. But anyways, design-wise, as I was saying, you can kind of see it here from the front, but given the striations, the scale styling, this kind of like ridgeline here on the lips, you know, that is not too dissimilar to a sort of Velociraptor design. It's very similar to the Jurassic Park Velociraptors. I actually really like this color detail here on the snout, and the snout itself in general has some really nice color details and pattern work. We'll talk about the body later, but the snout and the head, the skull, I actually quite like. So I imagine the reason for this. Now, Segisaurus didn't necessarily not look like this. In reality, maybe feathered, we don't know. Personally, I would have liked to see it feathered, or maybe the dewlap, or like a little crest, or just something a little bit to differentiate it from your coelophysis, from your Compsognathus, to make it a little bit more unique. But I have to imagine the reason it looks the way it does is because Frontier... Aww. Having a little nibble on itself. Who doesn't, eh? I imagine it was meant to be designed with that Jurassic Park aesthetic. So I'm going to stop talking about it now, but I do think it's a good interpretation of what Segisaurus, you know, let's say they did make it into the park, they were in the brochure, let's say they made it into the film. I imagine it would have looked basically like this. There's a lot of rummaging around, a lot of tugging going on. Lots of little head shakes, a lot of little neck wibbles around. That's right, wibbles. Trying to, you know, it's a small, relatively weak dinosaur. It's not necessarily that easy for it to get a chunk of meat off, so it has to use the force of its entire body to wrench the flesh free. Which is a weird sentence, and yeah, very accurate. Nice little details on the feeder animation there. Now, of course, this is only a scavenger class dinosaur. You know, you're talking your Morrison Drepidus level dinosaurs, stuff like that. So I'm not expecting it to hunt anything, ironically, except for humans. I can't remember if they hunt goats, so I'll give them one to try. And of course, they do kill goats. They pack hunt goats. Oh, well, they try to. And then goes go. We'll get that again. Just swarmed in, and there they go. So yeah, they pack hunt the goat much in the way that the Compies do, and the Morrises do, and all that kind of jazz. They keep sinking into the ground slightly awkwardly, but I think they're maybe just on the verge of too big for this kind of thing. I've had a few odd little animation errors today, and I don't know if it's just my game or what, but it's nothing I'd be worried about long term, really. Down goes the goat, and down goes the Segisaurus. See a little bit of the drinking animation there, lovely little, just little laps as you would expect. You know, it's a little bit cautious, it's a little bit nervous, it's just taking the water in quite quickly, little loop, loop, loop. The official noise, and I think we are about to see the social animation again. Hopefully we can get it a little bit better this time, but I do need to. It's one of those dinosaurs, much like the Microceratus, where you kind of have to put down sand to see anything, essentially. Pretty impossible otherwise. It's interesting, I thought it was going for the tail, but actually it doesn't seem to be. I think that second Segi is appearing just to try to scare its friend. I think that's its only goal at that moment. It's trying to spook the other Segisaurus, because it doesn't look like it goes for a bite. It looks like it just tries to sneak as close as it can before it makes a little call to spook its friend away. So I think it's a kind of cool little detail. Again, they're very skittish, jumping all over the place. They feel like they're on the edge, like meerkats almost, where they're always on the lookout and keeping an eye on what's going on. Bloody hell, ghost goat. Now, before we move on to the hunting and the fighting, I did a little size comparison at the very start of the video. I'm going to bring that up now. You can see the Segisaurus compared to your Compsognathus and all that kind of jazz. I thought this might be a useful size comparison. We can see here the Troodon into the Coelophysis, into the Segisaurus, into the Compsognathus. As you can see, Segi is very, very similar to the Compy in size. It looks morphologically quite similar to the Coelophysis, as you would expect, because it is a Coelophysid. But size-wise, it's more kind of morose and trepidous, a little bit bigger than the Compy, as you can see, but not by that much. So the first thing I wanted to test was just whether they would hunt on new teeny tiny herbivore in the Microceratus. So we've got a single Microceratus in here, but unfortunately, as you can see, the Segisaurus is... I think it really is just a typical scavenger dinosaur. It's going to hunt and be hunted by the exact same things as your Morus intrepidus, as your Compsognathus, as all of that jazz. I'm going to test it out with a few different things anyway, just in case, but it's safe to say it doesn't hurt. I was trying to say hunt there. It doesn't hunt the Microceratus, which I think is a bit of a shame. I think that would have been a cool little, and a fairly logical little combination. It's one of the few dinosaurs that the Segisaurus could have taken in a 1v1 fight, potentially. Although I'd probably bet on the Microceratus, honestly. So I believe that's actually the exact same kill animation that the Coelophysis used in our Microceratus video. Yep, same as the Coelophysis hunt then. The raptor takes down the Segisaurus in the exact same way. It should, in theory, hunt humans. So we're going to give that a go. And in no time at all, they have begun their hunt. And there they go, Segisaurus doing its scavenger things. It definitely has a bit of a problem at the moment where it likes to sink down into the earth. But, sure that'll get sorted. It just seems to get stuck in it. Oh my god, oh no. It's not your day, is it? It's not your day at all. They're on the hunt again. Where are we going? Which one are we choosing? Oh, yep, that's the unlucky woman. It's like the, they're like the ogres on Dragon's Dogma. They just hate women, apparently. Oh, and down she goes. And then they sit in a lovely little dinosaur orgy. It's funny, it's always two guest kills. I've noticed this every time I make these videos. The dinosaurs kill two guests. And then they chill out a little bit. You know, that seems to be the requisite number. And then they just made me into a liar. Time to kill a man. Oh. That was a hell of a throw, son. Did it die? Nope, it's back up and it's going in. And they're just hunting for fun, really. They're not getting anything out of this. They're not eating the people. They are just hunting for fun. That was a bit of a weird one. So, let's check out the skins for the Segisaurus. I refuse.
Segisaurus.
I refuse. So, Segisaurus, let's check it out. And like I say, you can really see here perfectly that very reptilian, very classic Jurassic Park styling. Skin-wise, we've got that Sonoran Desert, then we've got Death Valley, very bright, that one, very colourful. Great Sandy Desert, which kind of looks like sewage water. Champlain Valley, Salar del Huesco, Limpopo River, Killian Mountains, Yukon River, Svalbard. Amazon rainforest. Very nice, that one, actually. Mangrove forest. I like that one as well. And the Gambia River Basin. I think this one definitely benefits in general from having these slightly brighter skins. I think that one goes a long way to making the dinosaur a bit more interesting. You can see it's not just green. There's greens and blues kind of mixed in there. And let's check out the pattern. So it makes two big differences. It makes a few, actually. So let's kind of flick between that. Actually, let's go Pelophylax. Whew. And then we can really compare the two very easily. So you can see it adds this kind of black stroked ink splatter kind of effect on the very tip of the snout, which I really like. And in this bit as well, in the front fenestra there, I've forgotten which one it's called. The antorbital, I guess. The antorbital fenestra's kind of got this lovely, again, sort of watercolor ink sort of mark going on there. And then, of course, the rest of it is this pattern you can see going along the body. So let's go back through. We'll stick on this one. Let's go through the patterns. So Rana, we've got a nice mix with Rana actually. It's got both. Well, it's got this kind of pale grey, green, brown sort of colour, and then you've got the brown splotches as well. It's quite an all-over pattern, so it's leaving the blue in the middle, which is nice. Calcarana, which is blue with a black and white striping. Lithobates, black with some yellow strokes on there. Don't mind that one actually. Pulcrana, black with a stroke. Paparana, we've got some green in there and we've got some orange in there. Pelophylax, of course, huge amounts of yellow. Before we talk about it, let's see some animations. There's our preening animation there where it scratches itself on the side a little bit, and then a little wobble. Walking, running, it sits. It sits.
Segisaurus.
And then we've also got another preening animation there where it gives itself little nibbles on its toes, as you do, and on its thigh as well. I'll tell you what, we can see this a little bit better. Move around here and then move the light position. Lovely stuff. There we go. So, Segisaurus. I'm very curious to hear general opinions on this. It's a dinosaur that has been requested for a really, really long time because it's on the brochure and people in this fandom, people in this community have such a deep, deep desire that if it's mentioned in the canon, we have to see it in the game. You know, if it comes up, no matter where it comes up, it has to make it into the game. I don't think Segisaurus is so obscure that it's too much of a stretch, though. I do think it's a logical inclusion. And I can see why it's in the style it is. I know we've kind of talked about this. I wish it was more interesting. So I'm really in two minds about it, and that I'm really happy we have it to some extent, but it also feels a little bit like a wasted slot, and I wish the design had been more interesting. And even now we do have it, I wish that they'd push the design further. I'd rather have an interesting design rather than this JP retro aesthetic, just because I think it looks too much like dinosaurs we already have. But on the other hand, so I've got 4 hands at the moment. I'm like Goron from Mortal Kombat. Yeah, it's kind of. I can see why it looks the way it does. You know, it's logical to me that it looks this way and that it has this JP aesthetic. I'd be very curious to hear what you think. Let me know down below and come back in a little bit for our final species highlight on Thanatostraken. Thanks for joining me. Cheers much of as always. Bye-bye.